Hello, friend. Welcome to Science for Sleep. Whether you're returning tonight or just finding this channel for the first time, this is a quiet place to slow down, learn something gentle, and let the day gradually fall away. Tonight, we are spending time with turtles. At first, that may sound like a simple thing. A turtle feels familiar. You might picture a small pet turtle resting under a warm lamp, or a painted turtle sitting on a pond log, its dark shell drying in the open air, or a sea turtle moving slowly across a beach at night, leaving wide marks in the sand behind it. Or maybe you picture a tortoise, heavy and patient, walking across dry ground with thick legs and a rounded shell. Turtles are animals many people feel they already understand. They are slow. They are quiet. They have shells. They seem to carry their homes on their backs. But the more closely you look, the stranger and more interesting that familiar animal becomes. Because a turtle does not really carry a house. A turtle carries part of its own body. The shell is not something it found. It is not something it can leave behind. It is not like the empty shell of a hermit crab, which can be changed when the animal grows. A turtle's shell is living bone. It is connected to the spine and ribs. It grows with the turtle from the time it is young. And in many turtles, the outside of the shell is covered with hard plates called scutes. Scutes are made from keratin, the same basic material found in human fingernails and hair. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, you're welcome to subscribe. And if it feels natural, to leave a comment sharing where you're listening from tonight. It helps others find their way to this calm corner of the world, one sleepy traveler at a time. So the first thing to know is that a turtle shell is not a costume. It is not armor strapped onto the outside. It is the animal itself, shaped into protection. That one fact changes the whole way we see it. When a turtle pulls its head inward, it can look as if it is closing the door to a tiny room. But what is really happening is more biological than that. The turtle is using a body plan that has been shaped over hundreds of millions of years. Some turtles can pull the head straight back into the shell. Others fold the neck sideways beneath the edge of the shell. Sea turtles, with their large flippers and smoother swimming bodies, cannot fully hide inside their shells at all. Even the word turtle is broader than many people realize. In everyday speech, people may use turtle for almost any shelled reptile. A pond turtle, a box turtle, a sea turtle, and a tortoise can all be part of that larger turtle story. Tortoises are turtles too, but they are the land-living kind. They usually have heavier, higher shells and strong legs made for walking rather than swimming. A sea turtle is shaped for water, with long front flippers that move like wings. A freshwater turtle may have webbed feet, useful for pushing through ponds, rivers, and marshes. A tortoise has feet that look more like sturdy little columns, made to carry weight across soil, grass, rock, or sand. So the turtle is not one simple animal. It is a whole ancient group, spread across beaches, oceans, swamps, forests, deserts, islands, and backyard ponds. Some are small enough to fit in 2 hands. Some sea turtles can grow wider than a kitchen table. The leatherback sea turtle, the largest living turtle, can reach more than 6 feet in length and weigh more than 1,000 pounds. And yet, even with that size, even with that strength, it still belongs to the same broad story as the quiet turtle on a log. That is what makes turtles such a peaceful place to begin. They are familiar enough to feel close, but they are old enough, strange enough, and beautifully built enough to open into something much larger. A turtle can be a pet under a lamp, a shape moving through green pond water, a slow tortoise from an old childhood fable, a mother sea turtle crossing a beach under the night sky. And beneath all those images is the same deeper truth. The shell is not just something the turtle has. It is part of how the turtle breathes, moves, survives, and meets the world. So tonight, as the day softens and your breathing settles, we can begin with that simple image. A quiet shelled animal moving slowly forward, not carrying a house, carrying a living piece of deep time. That quiet shelled animal can have many names, and the names can feel a little confusing at first. A child may point to a slow animal in a garden and call it a turtle. Someone else may say, more carefully, that it is a tortoise. At a pond, another person may see a small reptile slide from a log into the water and call that a turtle too. And near a marshy coastline, someone might use the word terrapin. The simple way to begin is this: all tortoises are turtles, but not all turtles are tortoises. Turtle is the larger word. It belongs to the whole ancient group of shelled reptiles in the order Testudines. That group includes sea turtles, freshwater turtles, box turtles, snapping turtles, soft-shell turtles, and tortoises. A tortoise is one branch of that larger family. It is usually built for land. Its shell is often high and rounded, like a small dome. Its legs are thick and sturdy. Its feet are not shaped like paddles. They are made for stepping, pushing, and carrying weight across dry ground. A desert tortoise in the American Southwest may spend much of its life walking over sand, gravel, and scrubland. A Galapagos giant tortoise may move through volcanic islands, feeding on grasses, leaves, cactus pads, and fallen fruit. These animals are turtles, but they are turtles shaped by land. A pond turtle is shaped differently. The painted turtle, common across much of North America, often has a flatter shell than a tortoise. Its feet are webbed, which means skin stretches between the toes. That webbing helps push water backward, so the turtle can glide forward through ponds, slow rivers, and marshes. A red-eared slider, one of the most familiar pet turtles in the world, has a smooth, flattened shell and strong swimming feet. It can climb onto a rock to bask in the warmth, then slip back into the water with a small splash. Sea turtles are changed even more by water. Their front limbs are not ordinary feet. They are long flippers. A green sea turtle can move through warm ocean water with slow wing-like strokes. A leatherback sea turtle, the largest living turtle, has a softer, ridged shell rather than the hard scute-covered shell many people imagine. It can dive deeper than many other marine reptiles, sometimes reaching depths of more than 3,000 feet. Its body is not built to hide inside a shell. It is built to travel. So the difference between a tortoise and a turtle is not just a word game. It is a clue about habitat. Land changes the body one way. Fresh water changes it another way. the open ocean changes it again. Then there is the word terrapin. Terrapin is a softer, less exact word. In some places, it refers to turtles that live in fresh water. In other places, it is used for turtles that live near brackish water. Brackish water is water that is partly salty and partly fresh, like the water found where rivers meet the sea. The diamondback terrapin is a good example. It lives along the Atlantic and Gulf coasts of the United States, often in salt marshes, tidal creeks, and coastal wetlands. Its world is neither fully ocean nor fully river. It belongs to the shifting edge between the two. That is why the word terrapin can feel slippery. It depends on where people are speaking and which animals they grew up seeing. In Britain, terrapin is often used for some freshwater turtles kept as pets. In North America, it may bring to mind the diamondback terrapin with its pale skin, dark markings, and patterned shell. The names are not always perfectly neat. Nature rarely is. But the names help us notice the body. A tortoise rises from the ground like a little walking hill. A pond turtle looks flatter, smoother, and closer to the water. A sea turtle seems almost like a shelled bird of the ocean, flying through blue space with flippers instead of wings. And a terrapin belongs to the borderland, where the water changes with tide, rain, river flow, and salt. The shell remains the shared idea, but the shape around it keeps changing. One ancient plan has stretched into many ways of living. It can walk through dry grass. It can rest in warm mud. It can paddle through a green pond. It can cross coral reefs, open currents, and dark blue distances far from land. The names give us the first map. And once that map is clear, the turtle becomes more than one familiar animal. It becomes a whole set of answers to different places on Earth. The same basic body has met land, rivers, ponds, coasts, and oceans. And in each place, it has changed just enough to belong there. The names give us a gentle map. Turtle, tortoise, terrapin. Land, pond, marsh, coast, ocean. But beneath all those names is the feature that makes the turtle instantly recognizable: the shell. It is easy to think of the shell as a little shelter, a roof, a portable home, a safe place the turtle carries from one patch of earth to another. That image is peaceful, but it is not quite true. A turtle shell is not a house. It is bone. It is part of the skeleton. The upper part of the shell is called the carapace. That is the rounded or flattened back shield most people see first. The lower part is called the plastron. That is the belly shield underneath the turtle. Along the sides, these two parts connect, forming a strong bony case around much of the body. Inside that case, the turtle's spine and ribs are not separate in the usual way. They are fused into the shell. In a human body, ribs curve around the chest and move slightly with each breath. In a turtle, many of those ribs are built into the carapace itself. The backbone is joined to the upper shell. So when you look at the smooth back of a turtle, you are looking at a changed version of ribs, spine, and skin-covered bone. That is why a turtle cannot simply climb out. A hermit crab can move from one empty shell to another because the shell is borrowed. It once belonged to a snail or another mollusk. The crab uses it like a piece of protection it can replace. As the crab grows, it must search for a larger empty shell. A turtle is completely different. Its shell grows with it. Young turtles have small shells. Adult turtles have larger shells. The shell is alive in the same slow, quiet way that bone is alive. It can grow. It can repair small injuries. It has blood supply. It can feel pressure and damage. A turtle may not feel the shell the same way a person feels fingertips, but the shell is not dead material. It is living tissue connected to the body beneath it. On many turtles, the outside of the shell is covered with scutes. Scutes are hard plates made of keratin. Keratin is the same basic material found in human fingernails, hair, and the outer layer of skin. On a turtle shell, the scutes often form clear patterns. You can see them as separate shapes, almost like tiles fitted together across the back. As a turtle grows, the scutes may add growth rings or new layers, though these rings do not always give a perfect age the way tree rings can. They can be worn down by water, mud, rocks, sunlight, and years of movement. Not every turtle shell looks the same from the outside. A painted turtle has smooth scutes with dark, olive, and red markings. A box turtle has a high shell and a hinged plastron that can close tightly, almost like a door. A snapping turtle has a rougher shell and a long tail, with a body that looks more ancient and rugged. A soft-shelled turtle is different again. Instead of hard scutes, it has a flatter, leathery shell covered with skin. Its body is shaped for swimming and hiding in sand or mud, with a long, soft nose that can reach above the water like a small breathing tube. All of these shells are variations on the same deeper idea: protection made from the body itself. The shell guards the soft organs inside. It can make a turtle harder for predators to bite, crush, or swallow. It can also help the animal blend into mud, leaves, stones, or the dark bottom of a pond. But the shell is not only a shield. It changes the whole animal. A body wrapped in bone cannot bend like a lizard. It cannot stretch its ribs like a mammal. It cannot run with the same loose movement as many other reptiles. The shell gives safety, but it also sets rules. It decides how the turtle moves, how it breathes, how it hides, how it warms in the sun, how it slips through water or steps across land. So the shell is more than the thing that makes a turtle look like a turtle. It is the center of the whole design, a living piece of skeleton brought to the outside, a shield that grows, a body part that looks like armor. And once that armor is part of the body, even something as simple as taking a breath has to happen in a different way. A breath is usually so ordinary that it disappears into the background. The chest rises, the ribs open, the lungs fill. Then the body softens again, and the air leaves. In humans, this quiet motion depends on a rib cage that can expand and contract. The ribs move slightly outward with each inhale. A broad muscle called the diaphragm pulls downward beneath the lungs. The chest cavity grows larger. Air flows in. Then the ribs settle and the diaphragm relaxes, letting air move out again. A turtle cannot breathe that way. Its ribs are not free to swing open like ours. They are fused into the shell. The same structure that protects the turtle also locks the rib cage in place. the carapace above, and the plastron below form a strong, bony frame around the body. It is excellent protection, but it means the turtle had to find another way to move air. Inside that shell, the lungs sit high in the body, just under the upper shell. They are not packed into a soft, flexible chest like human lungs. They rest beneath a shield of bone. So instead of opening the ribs, turtles use special muscles around the body cavity to change pressure inside the shell. Some of these muscles pull organs slightly one way or another. Others help shift the movement of the limbs and body wall. When the space around the lungs changes, air can be drawn in or pushed out. It is not a simple bellows like a human chest. It is a slower, more unusual system, built around a body that cannot bend in the usual way. If you watch a turtle resting on land, you may see small movements near the throat, shoulders, or limbs. Some of those movements are linked to breathing. The body seems still at first. Then there is a faint pulse of motion, a slight lift, a quiet shift beneath the shell. The breath is there, but it is hidden inside armor. This is part of what makes turtles so different from lizards, snakes, birds, and mammals. A lizard's ribs can move with the body. A bird has air sacs that help keep air flowing through the lungs in a highly efficient path. A mammal has a flexible chest and diaphragm. A turtle has a shell built from the very bones most animals use to breathe. So turtle breathing is not just a smaller version of our breathing. It is a different solution. And it becomes even more interesting when the turtle is underwater. A sea turtle coming up to the surface may take a deep breath quickly before diving again. A green sea turtle can stay underwater for several minutes while feeding or resting. When it is calm, it may remain below much longer. Some sea turtles have been recorded resting underwater for hours, slowing their bodies so they use oxygen carefully. Freshwater turtles have their own quiet methods. In cold ponds, some species spend winter beneath ice. Painted turtles and snapping turtles may settle into mud or rest near the bottom, while the water above is cold and still. Because cold temperatures slow the body, the turtle needs less oxygen. Its heartbeat slows. Its movement nearly stops. Its whole system becomes quieter. Some freshwater turtles can also absorb small amounts of oxygen from the water through thin tissues in the throat or around the cloaca. The cloaca is the single rear opening used for waste and reproduction in turtles and many other reptiles. This does not replace lungs in ordinary life, but during long cold periods underwater, it can help the animal survive when breathing air is not possible. The painted turtle is especially famous for tolerating low oxygen during winter. It can survive conditions that would overwhelm many other animals. Its body shifts into a kind of deep conservation mode, using energy slowly and handling chemical changes in the blood with unusual skill. There is something very calm about this kind of survival. Not dramatic, not fast, not loud. A turtle does not fight the cold pond by forcing itself to stay active. It answers by slowing down, by using less, by letting the body become quiet enough to last. The shell may have created the problem. It stopped the ribs from moving freely, but the turtle body found a way to keep breathing anyway. Inside the armor, muscles shift, lungs fill, oxygen is saved. the heartbeat softens into a slower rhythm, and the animal continues. This is one of the deeper patterns in turtle life. Again and again, the turtle does not survive by doing more. It survives by doing only what is needed. A body wrapped in bone becomes a body of patience. And from that patience, the old idea of slow and steady begins to feel less like a story and more like biology. Long before most people learn the difference between a turtle and a tortoise, they often learn one small story: the tortoise and the hare. It is one of the most familiar fables in the world. The version most people know comes from the ancient storytelling tradition linked to Aesop, a Greek figure usually placed around the 6th century before the Common Era. In the story, the hare is fast and confident. The tortoise is slow and steady. And somehow, by continuing carefully, while the hare becomes careless, the tortoise reaches the finish first. For many people, that fable is the first time a shelled animal becomes a symbol. The tortoise stands for patience. The hare stands for speed without discipline. The lesson is simple enough for a child to remember. But behind the old story, there is something surprisingly close to real turtle biology. Turtles and tortoises are not slow because they are unfinished animals. They are slow because their bodies are built around a different way of surviving. Speed is expensive. To move quickly, an animal must burn energy quickly. Its muscles need fuel. Its heart and lungs must work harder. Its body must replace that energy with food. A rabbit, like the hare in the fable, has a fast life. It moves in bursts. It eats often. It depends on quick reactions, sharp hearing, and the ability to escape danger before danger reaches it. A tortoise lives by almost the opposite rhythm. It does not need to outrun every threat. Its shell changes the rules. A predator that might easily catch a softer animal has to deal with a hard, rounded shield. The tortoise can lower itself toward the ground. It can pull in its head and limbs, depending on the species. It can wait. That waiting is not weakness. It is a strategy. Many turtles and tortoises have slower metabolisms than mammals of similar size. Metabolism means the way the body turns food and oxygen into energy. A slower metabolism means the body can often get by on less food and use energy more gradually. This fits with a life of long pauses, careful movement, and steady survival. A Galapagos giant tortoise, for example, may spend long parts of the day resting, feeding slowly on grasses, leaves, cactus pads, and low plants. On the Galapagos Islands, where these tortoises became famous, their large bodies and slow pace fit a landscape of volcanic ground, open vegetation, and few natural land predators for adult tortoises. In dry places, slowness can be even more useful. The desert tortoise of the Mojave and Sonoran deserts spends much of its life in burrows where the air is cooler and more stable than the surface. Above ground, summer heat can become dangerous. Below ground, the tortoise saves water, avoids extreme sun, and moves less. It may come out during milder hours, feed on grasses and wildflowers after rains, then return to shelter. Its slow life is tied to the dry land itself. Even a pond turtle resting on a log is not wasting time. It is balancing energy. It may warm its body in sunlight, then slide into the water to feed or hide. Every movement has a cost. Every pause has a purpose. This is why the old phrase slow and steady feels so fitting. In a turtle, slow is not empty. Slow can mean protected. Slow can mean efficient. Slow can mean careful enough to last. A small mammal may live only a few years. Many turtles live for decades. Some tortoises can live longer than the people who first cared for them. Their lives are not built around winning a short race. They are built around continuing through seasons. Warm months, cold months, dry years, wet years. The fable turns the tortoise into a moral teacher. Biology turns it into something even deeper. A body that spends energy carefully. A body that moves only as much as it needs to. A body that trusts protection, patience, and time. And once slowness begins to look like survival, the quiet turtle under a heat lamp or resting on a sunny log starts to make more sense. The animal is not simply sitting there. It is gathering warmth. It is managing energy. It is letting the outside world help run the body from within. A pet turtle under a warm lamp can look almost still. Its legs may stretch out behind it. Its neck may reach forward. Its eyes may rest half open, as if the animal has found a small private patch of afternoon. In a glass tank or indoor enclosure, the light above it is not just decoration. For many pet turtles, a basking lamp is meant to replace something the wild would normally provide. Sunlight, warmth, a dry place to rest. Turtles are reptiles, and reptiles are ectotherms. That means their body temperature depends strongly on the world around them. A human body stays close to 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, or 37 degrees Celsius, because it produces and controls much of its own heat from the inside. A turtle does not manage heat in the same way. If the air and water are cool, the turtle's body cools. If the sun warms a log or a rock, the turtle's body can warm with it. This is why a turtle may climb out of the water and sit quietly for a long time. It is not simply relaxing. It is adjusting the speed of the body. Warmth affects how well a turtle can move, digest food, fight infection, and use energy. A painted turtle in a North American pond may spend part of the morning lined up with other turtles on a fallen branch. Their shells face the sun, their feet spread outward, their heads lift slightly. The scene looks peaceful because it is peaceful, but it is also practical. The animals are using solar energy in the simplest possible way. They are letting the sun warm their blood, muscles, and organs through the shell and skin. A red-eared slider, the familiar greenish turtle with a red mark behind each eye, does the same thing. This species is native to parts of the southern and central United States. But because it became so common in the pet trade, it is now found in many places around the world. In an aquarium, it may climb onto a floating platform beneath a lamp. In a pond, it may choose a rock, a log, or a muddy bank. The behavior is the same. Water is useful for swimming, hiding, and feeding. But a turtle cannot stay wet and cool all the time and function at its best. The dry basking spot gives the body a reset. Basking can also help the shell. A wet shell in shade is a good place for algae, fungi, and tiny organisms to grow. Drying in warmth can reduce that problem. Sunlight also provides ultraviolet light, often called UV light. Ultraviolet light is a kind of light humans cannot see. For many reptiles, a certain kind of UV light helps the body make vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 helps the body use calcium. Calcium is important for bones, shell growth, and healthy body function. This is why responsible turtle care often includes both heat and proper UV lighting, not just a bright bulb. A turtle's shell may look hard and simple, but it is living bone beneath the surface. It needs minerals. It needs growth. It needs the right conditions over time. In the wild, the sun supplies those conditions. In captivity, humans have to imitate them carefully. A pet turtle without enough warmth may become sluggish. It may eat less. Its digestion may slow. A turtle without proper UV light and calcium can develop shell and bone problems, especially while growing. The quiet animal under the lamp is part of a much older pattern. Long before glass tanks, plastic docks, and household heat bulbs, turtles were already climbing into sunlight. They were warming on riverbanks, stones, floating wood, and open sand. They were choosing warmer or cooler places throughout the day, not by reading numbers, but by feeling the world through the body. A turtle may begin in cool water, rise slowly toward a branch, climb out, and sit in the sun until its body is ready. Then it may slip back down, with hardly a sound, a small splash, a circle of ripples, a dark shell disappearing into green water. This rhythm repeats across wetlands, lakes, marshes, and quiet backyard ponds. Warm, cool, wet, dry, hidden, open. The turtle lives between these states. Its body is not separate from the weather. It is tuned to it. And that is the larger truth inside the peaceful image. The pet turtle under the warm light and the pond turtle on the sunlit log are both showing the same ancient rule. For turtles, the outside world is part of the body's inner work. Sunlight touches the shell. Heat changes the blood. Dry air clears the surface. And the animal waits, still and patient, while the day itself helps keep it alive. The turtle on the pond log seems like a small modern animal. It belongs to the same world as cattails, wooden docks, backyard gardens, and quiet lakes. But its body carries a much older story. Turtle-like animals appeared more than 200 million years ago. That means the turtle design reaches back into the Triassic period, a stretch of time long before humans, long before cities, and long before the world looked the way it does now. The Triassic began about 252 million years ago, after the largest known mass extinction in Earth's history. Forests were different. The continents were still joined together in the giant landmass called Pangaea. The Atlantic Ocean had not yet opened into the wide blue basin we know today. Early dinosaurs were only beginning to appear. And somewhere in that ancient world, the turtle body plan was slowly taking shape. One of the oldest known near turtles is called Odontocealis. It lived about 220 million years ago in what is now China. Its name means toothed shell because unlike modern turtles, it still had teeth. It also had a partly formed shell, with a broad lower belly shield, but not yet the full upper shell we imagine today. A little later, around 210 million years ago, another ancient turtle called Progonochelys lived in what is now Europe and parts of Asia. Progonochelys had a more complete shell. It looked much more like a turtle, but it still carried ancient features modern turtles no longer have, including a spiked tail and a skull that could not pull fully back into the shell. These fossils show us that turtles are not recent inventions. They are not animals that appeared after the world became familiar. They were already here while the great age of reptiles was still unfolding. Tyrannosaurus rex, the famous giant predator, lived much later, about 68 to 66 million years ago. By the time Tyrannosaurus walked through western North America, turtle bodies had already existed for more than 140 million years. That is a difficult span of time to picture. It is longer than the entire time between Tyrannosaurus and us. A turtle shell on a pond log today is, in a quiet way, older than some of the most famous prehistoric images in our imagination. Older than Tyrannosaurus. Older than many dinosaur groups people picture first. Older than flowering plants becoming dominant across the planet. Older than grasslands, songbirds, and nearly every human thing. Not one turtle species remained unchanged through all that time. Species came and went. Shells shifted. Bodies adapted. Habitats opened and disappeared. But the basic turtle idea stayed recognizable. A body wrapped in shell. A head that reaches forward. 4 limbs working around a hard central shield. A slow, careful way of moving through the world. This is one of the reasons turtles feel so unusual. Many ancient animals are known only from stone. We meet them as fossils in museums. A jaw in a glass case. A footprint pressed into rock. A skeleton held upright by metal supports. But turtles are ancient and still alive. They are not the same individuals, of course. They are not unchanged statues from the past. They are living animals that kept adapting while keeping the outline of an old design. A painted turtle basking in a modern pond is not a fossil. It has living eyes, moving lungs, blood, nerves, hunger, fear, and warmth passing through its body. Yet its shape still echoes a world from more than 200 million years ago. The same is true of a tortoise crossing dry soil, or a sea turtle lifting its head above warm water to breathe. Each one belongs to the present moment, but each one also carries a form that began when Earth itself was arranged differently. Pangaea later split apart. Oceans widened. Dinosaurs rose and vanished. Mammals spread. Birds filled forests with new kinds of sound. Humans appeared only at the very end of the story, almost like a final mark on a very long line. Through all of that, turtles remained. Not by staying frozen in time, but by letting one strange body plan keep finding new ways to work. That makes the shell feel even more remarkable. It is not just a useful shield. It is a design old enough to have passed through worlds that no human ever saw. And if the turtle shell has lasted for so long, it leaves a deeper wonder resting quietly beneath the surface. How did such an unusual body ever begin to form in the first place? To understand how the turtle shell began, It helps to picture something very slow. Not a shell appearing all at once. Not a sudden hard roof placed over a soft animal, but a body changing piece by piece across millions of years. The oldest parts of the turtle story are not found in one perfect fossil. They are found in stages. A rib that became wider. A belly shield that appeared before the full upper shell. A back that slowly flattened. A body that began to protect itself by changing the bones it already had. One important fossil in this story is Unitosaurus. It lived about 260 million years ago in what is now South Africa. At first glance, it did not look like a modern turtle. It did not have a full shell. It still looked more like a small reptile with a long body and a tail. But its ribs were unusually wide. Instead of being thin curved bones like the ribs of many reptiles, they had started to broaden. They spread outward along the sides of the body, creating the early shape of something flatter and more shield-like. That is one of the strange first steps toward a shell. Most animals use ribs for breathing and body movement. Ribs help the chest expand. They help the sides bend. They help the body stay flexible. But in the turtle line, ribs began moving toward a very different job. They began becoming protection. That change came with a cost. A wider rib can shield more of the body, but it also makes the body stiffer. It becomes harder to twist, harder to run with quick side-to-side motion, harder to breathe the same way many other animals breathe. The turtle shell did not just solve a problem. It created new problems that the body then had to solve. Another fossil, Papachelis, lived about 240 million years ago in what is now Germany. Its name means grandfather turtle. Papachelis still did not have a full shell, but it had a set of thickened bones along its belly. These bones looked like early building blocks of the plastron, the lower part of the shell. This is important because it suggests the turtle shell may have developed partly from below as well as from above. The belly shield mattered. For an animal living near water, mud, or low ground, the underside of the body could need protection too. Then comes Odontocalis, from about 220 million years ago, found in China. Odontocalis had a clear lower shell. Its plastron was already well developed, but its upper shell was not complete like a modern turtle's carapace. It also had teeth, unlike living turtles, which have beak-like jaws instead. This fossil gives the turtle story a quiet but powerful image. A creature with a turtle-like belly shield, a partly changed back, and a mouth that still held teeth. Not fully modern, not fully ancient in the usual way. Something in between. A body caught in the long process of becoming turtle. Later, Progonychelis appeared around 210 million years ago. By then, the shell was much more complete. The animal had a full carapace above and a plastron below. It looked far more like a turtle, but it still had features that feel old and rough compared with turtles today. Its tail had spikes. Its head could not pull neatly into the shell the way many modern turtles can. The shell was there, but the rest of the turtle design was still being refined. Together, these fossils make the shell feel less like one invention and more like a long construction project. First, the ribs widened. Then the belly gained armor. Then the upper shell became more complete. Then the body kept adjusting around the hard new shape. Evolution does not plan ahead like a builder with a finished drawing. It works with what is already present. Bone, muscle, skin, breath, movement. Small changes survive when they help an animal live long enough to reproduce. Over time, those small changes can become something as unusual as a turtle shell. The result is one of the strangest designs in the animal world. A skeleton brought outward, ribs turned into armor, a spine joined to a shield, a body that became safer by becoming less flexible. And once that design existed, it did something remarkable. It did not remain in one place or one habitat or one ancient world. It kept going. The shell became a foundation that turtles could carry into changing climates, changing continents, and changing ages of life on Earth. Once the shell had taken shape, turtles entered a world that would not stay still. The continents moved. The climate shifted. Seas rose and fell. Forests spread, vanished, and returned in new forms. Whole groups of animals appeared, flourished, and disappeared. Through all of that, turtles continued. Not as one unbroken species. No species lasts forever. But as a body plan, turtles carried their strange design through some of Earth's greatest changes. They were already present before the end of the Triassic period, about 201 million years ago. That extinction event cleared away many large reptiles and opened space for dinosaurs to become more dominant. Turtles survived it. They lived through the Jurassic period, when huge long-necked dinosaurs moved through floodplains and early birds began to appear. They lived through the Cretaceous period, when flowering plants spread across the land and the oceans held giant marine reptiles. Then, about 66 million years ago, an asteroid struck near what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The impact helped trigger the extinction event that ended the age of non-bird dinosaurs. Many animals vanished. Turtles survived that too. This does not mean turtles were untouched. Ancient turtle groups disappeared. Habitats changed. Food webs broke apart and reformed. But turtles as a whole kept going. Their survival likely came from a mix of traits rather than one single secret. The shell helped. A hard, bony shield can protect against bites, claws, falling debris, and rough environments. For many turtles, the shell makes the animal difficult to swallow or crush. But protection alone was not enough. A shell does not stop drought. It does not stop cold. It does not create food. Other parts of turtle life mattered too. Many turtles can slow their metabolism. Metabolism is the way the body turns food and oxygen into usable energy. When conditions are cold, dry, or difficult, a slower body can sometimes wait longer. It can use less. It can survive on fewer meals. Some freshwater turtles can spend long periods resting in mud or underwater during cold seasons. Some tortoises can retreat into burrows when heat and dryness become dangerous. The body does not demand constant speed. It can settle into patience. Diet may have helped as well. Many turtles are flexible eaters. A snapping turtle may eat fish, insects, frogs, carrion, aquatic plants. and almost anything it can catch or find. A painted turtle may eat small animals when young, and more plant material as it ages. A box turtle may feed on berries, mushrooms, insects, worms, and fallen fruit. A tortoise may browse on grasses, leaves, flowers, cactus pads, and tough plants that many animals would ignore. This flexibility matters during changing times. When one food source becomes rare, another may still be available. A turtle does not always need a narrow, perfect menu. It can often make use of what the landscape gives. Their eggs and nesting habits also help the lineage continue. Most turtles lay several eggs at a time, sometimes dozens depending on the species. A female sea turtle may lay more than one clutch in a nesting season. A clutch means a group of eggs laid together. Many young turtles do not survive, but producing many eggs gives the species repeated chances. The pattern is quiet: an ancient nest, cover, leave. Let the warmth of sand or soil do its work. Turtles also lived in many kinds of places. Freshwater turtles could remain in rivers, swamps, ponds, and wetlands. Tortoises could use dry land and shelter. Marine turtles moved through coastal waters and open seas. When the world changed in one place, turtle life could continue in another. This is why turtles feel like living time capsules. Not because they are unchanged. They have changed many times. Their shells, jaws, limbs, diets, sizes, and habitats have all shifted across deep time. But they still carry the outline of an ancient solution. A body protected by shell. A life built around patience. A way of using energy carefully. A calm persistence through worlds that rose and faded around them. The turtle on a pond log is not a relic in the sense of being frozen. It is alive, alert, warmed by the present sun. But its shape remembers older suns, older rivers, older forests, older coastlines. And after surviving so many changes, the turtle design did not stay in one narrow corner of Earth. It spread outward, finding many different ways to belong. The turtle design did not stay in one kind of place. It moved outward, into salt water, into fresh water, into mud, into forests, into deserts, into islands, into slow rivers and warm lagoons and dry scrubland, where rain may be rare for months. That is one of the quiet surprises of turtles. The shell looks like one simple idea, but across the world, it has become many different answers. In the ocean, the shell becomes smooth and streamlined. A green sea turtle has a broad oval body and strong front flippers. It can move through tropical and subtropical waters, feeding in seagrass beds and resting near reefs. Its shell is not shaped like a high dome. It is lower and smoother, better suited for passing through water. The animal does not step through the sea. It flies through it slowly, with long strokes of its flippers. In a freshwater pond, the shell becomes something else. A painted turtle may have a flatter dark shell, marked with red and yellow along the edges. It can slide through shallow water, climb onto logs, and drop quickly back into the pond when disturbed. Its body is made for both swimming and basking. It is not as ocean-shaped as a sea turtle, and not as land-heavy as a tortoise. It belongs to the border between water and air. A snapping turtle gives the shell another form. The common snapping turtle, found across much of North America, has a rough shell, powerful jaws, a long tail, and strong claws. It often rests in muddy ponds, lakes, marshes, and slow streams. Its shell does not cover the body as neatly as the shell of a box turtle. So instead of relying only on withdrawal, the snapping turtle also relies on strength, reach, and warning. On land, it can seem prehistoric, with its heavy head and rugged back. In water, it may become almost invisible, lying still beneath the surface with only the nostrils raised to breathe. A box turtle is different again. The eastern box turtle has a high rounded shell and a hinged lower shell. That hinge allows the turtle to close itself in tightly, almost like a living box. It is one of the clearest examples of a shell becoming a door. Box turtles often live in forests, meadows, and damp woodland edges. They are not built for long ocean crossings or deep diving. They are built for leaf litter, soft soil, mushrooms, berries, insects, and quiet cover under plants. Then there are giant tortoises. On the Galapagos Islands in the Pacific Ocean, giant tortoises can weigh hundreds of pounds. Some have dome-shaped shells suited to grazing low plants. Others have saddleback shells, with the front of the shell rising higher above the neck. That shape can help the tortoise reach upward toward taller cactus pads and leaves in drier island habitats. On islands, where large land predators were once limited, a slow, heavy animal could become enormous. A turtle shell, then, is not a fixed shape. It is more like a flexible blueprint. The same basic plan can be flattened for swimming, smoothed for the open sea, raised into a dome for land, hinged for closing tight, softened into leathery covering for soft-shell turtles that bury in sand or mud, made heavy for defense, made lighter for movement. The shell changes because the world around it changes. A turtle living in a desert faces heat, dryness, and long distances between food. A turtle living in a swamp faces mud, roots, still water, insects, fish, and hidden banks. A turtle living in the ocean faces currents, depth, salt, long travel, and wide feeding grounds. A turtle living on an island may meet plants and seasons that exist nowhere else. Each place asks something different of the body, and the turtle body answers without losing its central idea. A shell, a spine joined to that shell, a life shaped by patience, warmth, protection, and careful use of energy. This is why turtles are easy to recognize, even when they look very different from one another. A leatherback crossing dark ocean water, a red-eared slider resting under a heat lamp, a snapping turtle buried in pond mud, a box turtle closing beneath forest leaves, a giant tortoise walking over black volcanic ground. They all belong to the same ancient theme. One body plan stretched across many worlds. And when that body enters the sea, the shell becomes part of a long, quiet swimming life, carrying the turtle far beyond the shore. When the turtle body entered the sea, it had to change again. The shell could not remain only a heavy shield. In open water, every shape matters. A body that is too bulky wastes energy. A body that creates too much drag has to work harder with every movement. So in sea turtles, the shell became smoother, lower, and more suited to water. The carapace still covers the back. The plastron still protects the underside. But the whole body looks stretched into a calmer ocean shape. Less like a walking dome. More like a living vessel moving through blue space. A green sea turtle, for example, has a broad oval shell and long front flippers. Those flippers are not shaped like the feet of a pond turtle. They are large, flat, and powerful. When the turtle swims, the front flippers move in slow strokes, almost like wings. The rear flippers help steer. On land, this same body becomes awkward. A nesting female sea turtle has to pull herself across sand with effort, lifting and dragging a body built mainly for water. But in the ocean, that same shape becomes graceful. The weight seems to disappear. The shell that looks heavy on land becomes part of a smooth swimming form. Sea turtles are not all the same. The loggerhead sea turtle has a large head and strong jaws that can crush hard-shelled prey such as crabs, conchs, and other bottom-dwelling animals. The hawksbill sea turtle has a narrow pointed beak, useful for reaching into coral reefs and feeding on sponges. The green sea turtle, especially as an adult, often feeds on seagrass and algae. The leatherback is different again. It does not have the same hard scute-covered shell found in most other sea turtles. Its back is covered by a leathery skin over a flexible shell structure, marked by long ridges that run from front to back. The leatherback can grow more than 6 feet long and travel through colder waters than other sea turtles. It is a sea turtle shaped for distance, depth, and endurance. But there is one trade-off that links all sea turtles. They cannot fully pull into their shells. A box turtle can close itself almost completely. A tortoise can often draw its head and limbs inward. Many freshwater turtles can retreat far enough that the shell becomes a strong shelter. Sea turtles gave up much of that ability. Their heads remain outside. Their large flippers cannot fold neatly into the body. The shape that helps them swim also makes full withdrawal impossible. This is one of the quiet rules of evolution. A body gains one strength and often loses another. For sea turtles, the shell became less like a lockable room and more like a streamlined frame. It still protects the body. It still shields the ribs, spine, and organs. But it is shaped for movement more than hiding. A sea turtle's best defense is often not closing itself away. It is swimming through the water, moving with currents, diving below the surface, or crossing distances too wide for most land animals to imagine. Even breathing is tied to this ocean design. Sea turtles breathe air just as other turtles do. They must rise to the surface. A calm sea turtle may lift only the top of its head above the water, take a breath, and sink again. The nostrils sit near the front of the snout, letting the turtle breathe quickly without lifting much of the body. During active swimming, dives may last several minutes. During rest, some sea turtles can remain underwater much longer, slowing the body and using oxygen carefully. The shell, the flippers, the lungs, and the slow rhythm of the body all work together. This is not a fish. It does not have gills. It is still a reptile with lungs tied to air. Yet it belongs to the sea so completely that it can cross open water, return to distant coasts, and spend most of its life far from the beach where it began. The turtle shell began as armor. In the ocean, it became something more fluid, a shield shaped by water, a skeleton turned into a smooth traveling form, a body that cannot close itself away but can move through blue distance with patient strength. And once a turtle can live this way, the shoreline is no longer a boundary. It becomes the beginning of journeys that can stretch across entire oceans. Away from the sea, the turtle body becomes heavier. The flippers disappear. The shell rises. The legs grow thick. And the animal begins to look less like a swimmer and more like a small, patient piece of the land itself. This is the world of tortoises. A tortoise is a turtle shaped for walking. Its feet are not webbed, like the feet of many pond turtles. They are broad, sturdy, and often covered with rough scales. The legs look almost like little columns, built to hold weight and move slowly over soil, rock, sand, grass, and dry leaves. The shell is often high and domed. That rounded shape can make it harder for predators to bite or crush. It also gives the body room beneath the shell, while keeping the back strong. A tortoise does not need to slip quickly through water. It does not need to flatten itself against a muddy pond bottom. Its world is land, and land asks for a different kind of shell. On dry ground, food can be spread far apart. Water may be seasonal. Shade may matter as much as shelter. So tortoises often live by moving slowly, feeding steadily, and saving energy wherever they can. Many tortoises are plant eaters. A desert tortoise in the Mojave Desert may feed on grasses, wildflowers, cactus fruits, and tender spring plants after rainfall. When the desert becomes too hot and dry, it spends long hours in a burrow. That burrow can be several feet long, sometimes deep enough to keep the air cooler and more humid than the surface. Above ground, the desert may shimmer with heat. Below ground, the tortoise waits in a steadier pocket of earth. This is not laziness. It is survival. In dry habitats, every drop of water matters. A tortoise can store water in its body and use it slowly. It can also get moisture from plants. After desert rains, it may drink from shallow puddles and feed on fresh growth, while the land briefly turns green. Then, when the season tightens again, the tortoise slows back down. On islands, tortoises show this land design on a much larger scale. The Galapagos giant tortoise lives on volcanic islands in the Pacific Ocean, about 600 miles west of mainland Ecuador. Some can weigh more than 500 pounds. Some can live for well over 100 years. Their shells vary from island to island. On wetter islands, where plants grow lower to the ground, some tortoises have heavy dome-shaped shells. On drier islands, where food may be higher up, some have saddleback shells. A saddleback shell rises at the front, leaving more space for the neck to stretch upward. This can help the tortoise reach cactus pads, leaves, and branches that grow above the ground. The shell becomes a record of place. The island shapes the plant life. The plant life shapes the feeding. The feeding shapes the body. Far across the Indian Ocean, Aldabra giant tortoises live on the Aldabra atoll, part of the Seychelles. They also grow large, move slowly, graze on low plants, and shape the land around them by feeding and walking. In places like this, a tortoise can become part of the landscape's rhythm. It trims plants. It spreads seeds. It wears paths through grass and scrub. Its weight presses into the soil. Its slow body leaves signs that remain after it has moved on. A tortoise may look separate from the land at first, a single animal under a hard shell. But over time, it becomes part of the place. It follows the shade. It remembers feeding paths. It rests during heat. It moves when the air is mild. Its life is built around patience because land rewards patience in quiet ways. The shell that became smooth in the sea becomes high and heavy here. The limbs that became flippers in ocean water become thick walking supports on dry ground. The body that crossed currents now crosses grass, dust, stone, and fallen leaves. It is the same ancient turtle theme, but spoken in a slower land language. And between these two worlds, between the swimming turtle and the walking tortoise, there is another kind of turtle life. Not fully land, not fully water. A life built around logs, banks, mud, sunlight, and the soft edge of a pond. At the edge of a pond, turtle life becomes a life of borders. Water below, air above, mud beneath, sunlight across a fallen branch, a dark shell resting half in shadow, half in warmth. Freshwater turtles often live in this middle place. They are not ocean travelers like sea turtles. They are not fully land animals like tortoises. They move between water and shore, between hiding and basking, between stillness and sudden motion. A painted turtle on a summer morning may climb onto a log with several others. One turtle rests near the base. Another balances higher up. A smaller one may squeeze into the warm space between two larger shells. From a distance, they can look like smooth, dark stones placed in a row. But each animal is reading the day through its body. The sun warms the shell. The air dries the skin. The water below remains close enough for escape. If a person steps too near, the whole line may vanish at once. One soft splash after another. Then the log is empty again. Painted turtles are among the most widespread turtles in North America. They are often found in slow ponds, marshes, lakes, and quiet streams. Their shells are usually dark olive or black, with red and yellow markings along the edges and body. They feed on aquatic plants, insects, small fish, snails, and other small creatures. They are not locked into one kind of food. Like many freshwater turtles, they live by using what the pond provides. The red-eared slider lives in a similar border world. It is known for the red patch behind each eye, though the color can fade with age. In the wild, it often basks on logs, rocks, or muddy banks. In captivity, it may do the same thing on a floating platform under a lamp. That familiar pet behavior is simply the indoor version of an outdoor rhythm. Warm up, dry out, return to water, feed, hide, rest. A map turtle may bask on branches above rivers and lakes, its shell marked with fine pale lines that resemble the lines on a map. A snapping turtle may spend far less time visibly basking, often staying low in muddy water with its rough shell covered by algae and sediment. Different freshwater turtles use the pond in different ways, but many of them depend on the same basic pieces: a place to warm, a place to hide, a place to breathe, a place to nest, a place where the bottom is soft enough to bury into when needed. Mud is not just dirt at the bottom of the water. For many turtles, it can become cover, insulation, and shelter. A turtle resting in mud can be harder for predators to see. In winter, mud can also help protect the body from the coldest air above the frozen surface. In northern ponds, painted turtles and snapping turtles may spend the cold months underwater. They do not hibernate exactly like a sleeping mammal in a den. Their bodies slow dramatically as the water cools. Their heart rate drops. Their movement becomes minimal. Their need for oxygen falls. This winter state is often called brumation, which is a reptile version of deep seasonal slowing. Under ice, a turtle cannot simply swim up for air whenever it wants. The surface may be sealed, but cold water helps because a cold turtle uses oxygen very slowly. Some freshwater turtles can absorb small amounts of oxygen from the water through thin tissues in the throat or rear opening. This is not the main way turtles breathe in warm, active months. They still have lungs. They still need air. But during cold, quiet periods, these small extra oxygen exchanges can help them last. The painted turtle can also tolerate very low oxygen better than many animals. Its body can shift into a survival mode where it uses energy without oxygen for a time, though this creates chemical waste inside the body. Parts of the shell and skeleton can help buffer those chemical changes, meaning they help keep the body's internal chemistry from becoming too harmful too quickly. So the pond turtle is not as simple as it looks. The one resting on a log is measuring warmth. The one sliding into water is choosing safety. The one buried in mud is using the pond bottom as shelter. The one waiting beneath winter ice is living at the edge of breath itself. A pond may seem still from above. A smooth surface, a few reeds, a dragonfly, a log with dark shells lined in sunlight. But turtle life inside that calm place is always tuned to small changes. A little more warmth, a little less oxygen, a deeper patch of mud, a brighter opening in the trees, a colder season settling into the water. The turtle follows these changes without hurry, letting the pond guide the pace of its body. The pond guides the turtle because the turtle's body listens to temperature. A warm log, a cool current, a muddy bottom, a patch of shade under floating leaves. For a turtle, these are not just places. They are conditions that change how the body works. Turtles are ectotherms. That word means their body temperature depends strongly on the outside world. A human can stand in cool air and still keep the inside of the body close to 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 degrees Celsius. The body burns food, moves blood, and controls heat from within. A turtle can produce some internal heat through normal body activity, but not nearly enough to hold one steady warm temperature all day. Its warmth comes mostly from water, air, soil, and sunlight. This is why a turtle's day can be shaped by small choices. A painted turtle may start the morning in cool water. Its muscles are slower. Its movements are quieter. Then it climbs onto a log, turns its shell toward the light, and waits. As the body warms, chemical reactions inside the animal happen more quickly. muscles respond better, digestion improves. The turtle becomes more ready to swim, feed, and react. Warmth does not just make the turtle comfortable, it changes what the animal is able to do. Digestion is especially tied to temperature. When a turtle eats, the food must be broken down by enzymes. Enzymes are tiny biological tools that help chemical reactions happen inside the body. In a cold turtle, those reactions slow. Food can sit longer in the gut. The animal may eat less because its body is not warm enough to process the meal well. This is one reason pet turtles need the right water temperature and basking area. A turtle that is kept too cold may seem sleepy, weak, or uninterested in food. In the wild, the same rule plays out more gently across the day. Warmth opens the body. Cold closes it down. The immune system is also affected. The immune system is the body's defense against infection. In reptiles, many immune responses work better. Within a useful temperature range, a turtle that can bask may support its body's natural defenses by warming itself. This does not mean sunlight cures every problem. It means temperature is part of the animal's health. The shell, skin, muscles, blood, stomach, and defenses belong to a body that depends on its surroundings. In cold seasons, this connection becomes even more dramatic. A pond that feels alive in July may become still in January. Ice may cover the surface. The air above may drop far below freezing. Under the ice, the water remains cold but liquid, especially near the bottom. For some freshwater turtles, that lower world becomes a winter shelter. Painted turtles, snapping turtles, and some other species may rest underwater or settle into mud. They do not feed in the normal way. They do not swim around with summer energy. Their metabolism slows. Their heart may beat only a few times per minute. The body uses far less oxygen. This seasonal slowing is called brumation. It is not exactly the same as mammal hibernation, but it has a similar feeling from the outside. A reptile becomes quiet. Its systems reduce their pace. It waits for warmth to return. The painted turtle is one of the most remarkable examples. In northern regions, young painted turtles may even survive freezing temperatures in the nest during winter. Their bodies can tolerate partial freezing better than most vertebrates. A vertebrate is an animal with a backbone. This ability helps hatchlings remain in shallow nests until spring, when conditions improve. Adult freshwater turtles have their own winter skills. When oxygen is low, their bodies can slow deeply and use backup chemical pathways for energy. Those pathways are not perfect, and they create waste acids inside the body. But turtles can buffer some of that acid with minerals from the shell and skeleton, helping them survive until they can breathe normally again. A turtle's shell is still part of the story, even in winter darkness. The same structure that protects the body can also help steady its chemistry. So cold blood is not a weakness. It is a different agreement with the world. The turtle does not force one temperature onto every place it enters. It follows warmth. It avoids extremes. It rests when cold. It feeds when ready. It lets the day and season help set the rhythm of life. And temperature does not stop at movement, digestion, or winter survival. In some turtles, warmth reaches even deeper. It enters the hidden nest. It surrounds the eggs. And before a young turtle ever sees water, mud, leaves, or sky, temperature may help shape what that life will become. Before a turtle begins life in water, mud, grass, or open sea, it begins in a hidden place, a small chamber beneath sand or soil, a nest dug by a mother who may never see the young that hatch from it. Most turtles lay eggs on land. Even sea turtles, which spend nearly all of adult life in the ocean, must return to shore to nest. A female sea turtle may rise from the water at night, when the beach is cooler and darker. She pulls herself slowly across the sand with her front flippers. Her body leaves a wide track behind her, like two soft lines pressed into the beach. When she finds a place above the high tide line, she begins to dig. First, she clears the surface sand. Then she uses her rear flippers like careful scoops, one side and then the other, lifting sand out of the hole. The nest chamber may be shaped like a flask, narrow near the top and wider below. Into that chamber, she lays her eggs. A loggerhead sea turtle may lay around 100 eggs in a clutch. A green sea turtle may lay a similar number. A leatherback may lay dozens of larger eggs, along with smaller yolkless eggs that do not develop into hatchlings. After laying, the female covers the nest with sand and presses the surface down. Then she slowly returns to the water. The ocean closes around her. The nest remains behind, quiet and hidden. Many freshwater turtles also leave the water to nest. A painted turtle may climb from a pond and walk across grass, gravel, or soft soil to find a sunny nesting spot. A snapping turtle may travel across a yard, field, roadside, or sandy bank. A female turtle can seem strangely determined during this time. She may cross places that feel far from water, guided by the need to find ground that is warm, loose, and safe enough for eggs. She digs with her hind feet, lowers the eggs into the hole, covers them, and leaves. There is no nest sitting in a tree, no parent returning with food, no warm body brooding the eggs like a bird. The ground becomes the incubator. Incubation means the time when the young develop inside the eggs. For many turtles, this period may last around 2 to 3 months, depending on the species and temperature. Some nests hatch sooner in warm conditions. Some take longer in cooler ground. The eggs themselves are different from the hard bird eggs many people know. A chicken egg has a hard, brittle shell that can crack cleanly. Many turtle eggs have softer, leathery shells. They are often white and round or slightly oval. Sea turtle eggs can look a little like ping pong balls, though they are soft enough to survive being dropped gently into the nest chamber with the others. That softness matters. A leathery shell can flex slightly. It can exchange gases with the surrounding sand or soil. The developing turtle inside needs oxygen and must release carbon dioxide. The shell is protective, but it is also part of a living exchange with the nest around it. The nest may look empty from above, just sand, soil, leaves, or loose earth. But below the surface, each egg holds a tiny, changing body. The head forms. The shell begins to take shape. The limbs develop. The small beak forms at the front of the mouth. Near hatching time, Many young turtles use a tiny temporary egg tooth to break through the shell. This egg tooth is not a true tooth like a mammal tooth. It is a small, sharp point used for hatching, and it later disappears. All of this happens without the mother watching over the nest. Turtle reproduction depends on careful placement, hidden development, and large numbers. Many eggs will not become adults, but each nest is still a quiet investment in the future, a buried cluster of possible lives. For sea turtles, the beach holds the beginning. For pond turtles, the sunny bank or patch of loose soil may hold it. For tortoises, a dry nest in warm ground may do the same. The mother leaves. The nest stays. The warmth of the earth continues the work. And inside that stillness, temperature is not only keeping the eggs alive. In many turtles, it is helping decide something even more basic about the young before they ever break through the shell. The buried nest is quiet from above. A patch of sand, a small place in the soil, a surface smoothed over by the mother's feet or flippers. But beneath that still ground, temperature is doing delicate work. In many turtle species, warmth does more than speed up development. It can help decide whether the young become male or female. This is called temperature-dependent sex determination. It means the sex of the hatchling is not set by chromosomes in the same simple way it is in humans. Instead, the temperature around the eggs during a key part of development can guide the body in one direction or the other. In many sea turtles, cooler nests tend to produce more males. Warmer nests tend to produce more females. The exact temperature can vary by species and population. But for many sea turtles, the turning point is close to 29 degrees Celsius, or about 84 degrees Fahrenheit. That turning point is sometimes called the pivotal temperature. Below it, more males may develop. Above it, more females may develop. It is not always perfectly sharp. A nest is not one exact number from top to bottom. The upper eggs may be warmer than the deeper eggs. One side of the nest may receive more heat than the other. Rain, shade, sand color, and time of season can all change the warmth around the clutch. Still, the pattern matters. A few degrees can shift the future of many hatchlings. For sea turtles, the beach itself becomes part of reproduction. Dark sand can absorb more heat from sunlight. Light sand may reflect more. A nest beneath open sky may become warmer than a nest shaded by coastal plants. A nest dug deeper in the sand may stay more stable than one closer to the surface. A nest laid early in the season may develop under different conditions than one laid later, after weeks of heat have warmed the beach. The mother turtle does not sit on the eggs like a bird. She does not turn them. She does not shade them with her body. She chooses the place, covers the nest, and leaves. After that, the sand, soil, rain, shade, and season become the caretakers. Freshwater turtles can also show temperature-dependent sex determination. In painted turtles, for example, cooler incubation temperatures generally produce more males, while warmer temperatures produce more females. In some other turtle species, the pattern can be more complex. Certain species may produce one sex at middle temperatures and another at both cooler and warmer edges. Nature rarely uses only one simple rule, but the larger idea remains the same. The nest is not just a container. It is an environment that shapes life. Inside each egg, the tiny turtle is forming organs, limbs, eyes, shell, and inner systems. Temperature affects chemical signals inside the developing body. One important process involves hormones, which are chemical messengers that help guide growth. Heat can influence enzymes, the small biological tools that help reactions happen. In this way, the warmth of sand can reach all the way into the biology of the hatchling. This makes turtle reproduction beautifully tied to place. A beach is not just scenery. A pond bank is not just ground. A dry patch of soil near a wetland is not just a place to hide eggs. It is part of the animal's life cycle. The color of the sand, the angle of the sun, the roots of nearby plants, and the depth of the nest can all matter. And because temperature matters so much, a changing climate can create serious pressure. If nesting beaches become warmer over many years, some turtle populations may produce far more females than males. At first, that may not sound dangerous. One male can mate with more than one female. But if the balance shifts too far, the population can become less stable over time. Very hot nests can also reduce hatching success, because embryos can die if temperatures rise beyond safe limits. A small nest hidden beneath the sand is connected to the whole world above it. Air temperature, storms, beach erosion, coastal plants, artificial structures, the warming of seasons. All of it can reach down into the eggs. The turtle's future is shaped in silence, grain by grain. A mother sea turtle may cross a beach in darkness and leave behind what looks like nothing more than smooth sand. But under that surface, the next generation is being formed by warmth, moisture, and time. And when the hatchlings are ready, the quiet nest will open. Tiny bodies will push upward through the sand, and the first journey will begin. When the nest opens, the beach begins to move. Not all at once. First, there may be a small shifting in the sand, then another. Then tiny heads and flippers press upward through the grains. Sea turtle hatchlings often emerge together, usually at night, when the sand is cooler and the darkness gives them some cover. A hatchling loggerhead sea turtle is only about 2 inches long. Its shell is soft compared with an adult's. Its flippers are small, but already shaped for the sea. It has never seen the ocean. It has never followed another turtle through the water. And yet, when it reaches the surface, it begins to move. For many sea turtle hatchlings, the first guide is light. On a natural beach, the ocean horizon is often the brightest direction at night. The open sky above the water reflects moonlight and starlight. The land behind the beach is usually darker, broken by dunes, plants, and shadows. So the hatchlings move toward the brighter, lower horizon. They are not thinking through the choice. They are responding to cues built into their bodies. Brightness, slope, open space. The faint shape of the world ahead. A beach that seems quiet to a person is full of information to a hatchling. The sand may slope slightly downward toward the sea. The air may feel more open. The horizon may glow softly. The sound and movement of waves may add to the pull, though light is one of the most important guides. The journey can be very short or surprisingly long. some nests are only a few meters from the water. Others are much farther up the beach, above the reach of high tide. For a tiny turtle, even 50 meters is a serious distance. Each flipper stroke pulls the body forward only a little. The hatchling moves over ridges, footprints, shells, seaweed, and loose sand. Its belly brushes the beach. Its small shell catches faint light. The ocean is close, but not close enough to be easy. This first walk is dangerous. Birds, crabs, raccoons, fish, and many other animals may feed on hatchlings. The world is full of mouths waiting for small moving things. But the script of turtle life has never depended on every hatchling surviving. A female sea turtle lays many eggs because only a few young may ever reach adulthood. That may sound harsh, but it is an ancient pattern. Many small beginnings, a few long lives. The beach is the narrow place between those two realities. Human light can disturb this old system. A hotel, a road, a house, a parking lot, or a bright beachfront walkway can create light behind the nest. To a hatchling, that artificial glow can look like the correct direction. Instead of moving toward the ocean, the young turtle may crawl inland. It may move toward street lights, porch lights, windows, or car headlights. This is called disorientation. It means the animal's natural sense of direction has been confused. On nesting beaches, this is why turtle-safe lighting matters. Lights can be shielded. They can be dimmed. They can be changed to longer wavelengths, such as red or amber tones, that are less disruptive for many sea turtles. Curtains can be closed. Beachfront lights can be turned off during nesting season. A small change in human brightness can help preserve a journey older than human buildings. When a hatchling finally reaches the edge of the water, the first wave may lift it suddenly. The sand falls away. The body rises. The little flippers begin working against moving water. For some species, this begins what scientists call a swimming frenzy. For hours or even days, the hatchling swims strongly away from shore. It moves past the shallow zone where many nearshore predators wait. In loggerheads from the southeastern United States, young turtles may reach floating mats of sargassum seaweed in the Atlantic. Sargassum is brown seaweed that drifts in open water. It can provide cover, food, and a floating nursery for small sea animals. The hatchling that was only moments ago pushing through sand is now part of the open sea. It is tiny. It is fragile. But it is not empty of guidance. It carries instincts shaped by millions of years of beaches, waves, moonlit horizons, and moving water. The first journey may be only from nest to surf. A few meters, a few hundred meters, a short crossing under the night sky. But hidden inside that small crawl is the beginning of something much larger. A turtle that finds the sea may one day follow currents, coastlines, magnetic fields, and distant feeding grounds across a blue world far wider than the beach where it began. The hatchling that reaches the sea enters a world without roads. There are no signs in the water, no trees to mark the path, no shore once the beach disappears behind it. Only waves, currents, darkness, light, salt, and the wide movement of the ocean. And yet, many turtles do not drift through the world at random. They seem to carry a map inside the body, not a map, like paper. Not a picture with coastlines and names. A living map made from senses. A map made from pull, smell, current, wave, memory, and direction. One of the most remarkable clues comes from Earth's magnetic field. Earth behaves a little like a giant magnet. Invisible magnetic lines curve around the planet, running between the southern and northern magnetic regions. Animals cannot see these lines the way they see light, but many migrating species appear able to sense parts of them. Sea turtles are among the most famous examples. Young loggerhead turtles have been studied in tanks surrounded by magnetic coils. These coils can create magnetic conditions similar to different places in the Atlantic Ocean. When young turtles are exposed to magnetic signals that match one part of the ocean, they tend to swim in a direction that would help keep them within useful currents. When the signal is changed to match another region, they adjust their swimming direction. This suggests that the turtle is not simply moving toward light or away from shore. It is responding to invisible information connected to location. Earth's magnetic field has different features in different places. Two important ones are intensity and inclination. Intensity means the strength of the magnetic field. Inclination means the angle at which magnetic lines dip into Earth. Near the magnetic equator, the lines are more level. Closer to the poles, they dip more steeply. A turtle may be able to sense a combination of these features, almost like a natural address. Not exact like a street number, but useful enough to help guide movement across large areas. This does not mean turtles use only magnetism. The ocean is too complex for one cue to explain everything. A sea turtle may also respond to wave direction. Near shore, waves often move toward land, and hatchlings can use that movement to swim out to sea. Ocean currents can carry young turtles across huge distances, especially during their early years. Smell may matter too, especially closer to feeding areas or coastlines. Water carries chemical traces from land, reefs, seagrass beds, rivers, and living things. A turtle's sense of smell can help it read some of that hidden chemistry. As turtles grow older, experience may add another layer. An adult sea turtle that has traveled through certain feeding grounds, coastal waters, and nesting regions may learn parts of that geography over time. The map inside the turtle may begin with instinct. Then, the ocean slowly writes more detail onto it. One of the most beautiful patterns is called natal homing. Natal means birth. Homing means returning. Many female sea turtles return toward the region where they hatched when it is time to nest. A loggerhead born on a beach in Florida may spend years moving through the Atlantic, feeding and growing far from land. Then, as an adult, she may return to the same general coastline to lay eggs. Green sea turtles that feed in one region may travel long distances back to nesting beaches used by their population for generations. The return is not always to the exact same square meter of sand, but it can be close enough to show that the birth region still matters. The beach where life began leaves a kind of mark. Scientists think magnetic imprinting may help explain this. Imprinting means an animal records certain information early in life. For turtles, the magnetic signature near the birth beach may become part of their later guidance system. Years later, that signature may help draw the adult back toward the same coast. the idea is gentle and astonishing. A hatchling no larger than a child's palm crawls into the surf. The beach disappears behind it. The young turtle enters a moving ocean, and somehow, part of that place may stay with it. The pull of earth, the angle of invisible lines, the smell of coastal water, the shape of waves, the memory of a region written into the body before the animal understands anything at all. The turtle becomes a traveler guided by things we barely notice. A magnetic field under every step, a current beneath every wave, a shoreline carried as a signal rather than an image. The first walk to water was only the beginning. Out beyond the beach, the map keeps unfolding. And with that hidden map, a turtle can cross distances so wide that its life begins to connect beaches, currents, feeding grounds, and whole ocean basins. With a hidden map inside its body, a sea turtle can turn the ocean into a path. Not a straight path, not a road. A path made from currents, feeding grounds, warm water, coastlines, and nesting beaches. Some sea turtles travel thousands of miles between the places where they feed and the places where they lay eggs. A green sea turtle may spend much of its adult life feeding in seagrass beds, where shallow sunlight helps underwater grass grow. Then, when nesting season comes, it may leave that feeding area and swim back toward a beach used by its population again and again. The trip can take weeks or months. The turtle may cross open water, pass islands, follow currents, and move through changing temperatures. Its body is slow compared with many fish, but it is steady. A sea turtle does not need to sprint across the ocean. It needs to keep going. Loggerhead turtles show this clearly. Young loggerheads from beaches in Florida and the southeastern United States may enter the Atlantic and become part of a huge rotating current system called the North Atlantic Gyre. A gyre is a large circular pattern of ocean currents. In the Atlantic, this moving system can carry young turtles toward floating sargassum seaweed. Sargassum forms drifting brown mats at the surface. These mats can shelter small turtles, fish, crabs, shrimp, and other young sea animals. For a young turtle, the open ocean is not empty. It has floating neighborhoods. It has food. It has shade. It has hiding places that drift with the water. Years later, many loggerheads return toward coastal feeding areas, larger and stronger than when they first entered the sea. Leatherback turtles carry this ocean life even farther. The leatherback is the largest living turtle. It can grow more than 6 feet long and weigh more than 1,000 pounds. Unlike hard-shelled sea turtles, it has a leathery back with long ridges, and its body is built for deep, cold, wide travel. Leatherbacks feed mainly on jellyfish. Because jellyfish can be spread across huge areas, leatherbacks often move across enormous distances to find them. Some leatherbacks cross entire ocean basins. Individuals tracked by satellite have traveled from nesting beaches in the western Pacific toward feeding areas off the coast of North America. That journey can stretch for thousands of miles across the Pacific Ocean. Leatherbacks are also among the deepest diving sea turtles. They can dive more than 3,000 feet below the surface. At those depths, the ocean is dark, cold, and under heavy pressure. The pressure at 3,000 feet is dozens of times stronger than at the surface. A human body could not simply move there unaided, but the leatherback's body is adapted for deep diving. It can slow its heart rate. It can store oxygen in its blood and muscles. It can let the pressure affect its flexible body without relying on a rigid air-filled shell. When it rises again, it returns to the surface for air, lifting its head into light before sinking back into the blue. These journeys make the sea turtle feel less like one animal moving through one place. A turtle links places together. A nesting beach in Costa Rica may connect to feeding grounds far away. A beach in Florida may connect to the open Atlantic. A leatherback born on a tropical shore may one day feed in cooler northern waters where jellyfish drift. The animal's life draws invisible lines across the planet. Currents help shape those lines. Young turtles may ride moving water before they are strong enough to choose every direction for themselves. As they grow, swimming becomes more active. They begin to use their own strength, their senses, and their remembered routes. The ocean carries them at first. Then they learn to move through it. A beach may seem fixed. A reef may seem fixed. A seagrass bed may seem fixed. But the turtle's life shows how connected they are. Sand holds the eggs. Waves receive the hatchlings. Currents carry the young. Floating seaweed shelters them. Reefs and seagrass beds feed them. Open water tests them. And years later, a mature female may return to land for the briefest part of her adult life. She rises from the ocean at night. She crosses the beach. She digs. She lays the next hidden clutch beneath the sand. The journey that began with one tiny hatchling becomes part of a larger circle. Beach to sea, sea to feeding ground to nesting shore. The turtle is not separate from these places. It is one of the quiet threads moving between them. And as it moves, it does more than survive. It carries energy, nutrients, seeds, grazing pressure, and life from one part of the world to another. A turtle's journey does not only belong to the turtle. As it moves through water, sand, grass, mud, and shade, it changes the places it passes through. Quietly, slowly, often without being noticed. A green sea turtle feeding in a seagrass bed is doing more than eating. Seagrass grows in shallow coastal water where sunlight can reach the bottom. It forms underwater meadows, with long green blades moving gently in the current. These meadows shelter young fish, crabs, shrimp, snails, and many other small sea animals. They also help hold sediment in place, keeping the water clearer and the seafloor more stable. When green sea turtles graze on seagrass, they trim it. That grazing can help keep the grass beds young, fresh, and productive. Without grazing, some seagrass beds can become overgrown, with older blades blocking light and slowing new growth. The turtle moves through the meadow, biting cleanly through the blades, leaving cropped patches behind. It seems simple. A turtle eating grass underwater. But that feeding can help shape the whole habitat. The turtle becomes part of the meadow's care. Not by planning, not by farming, just by living as a green sea turtle has lived for a very long time. On land, tortoises can shape the world in another way. Many tortoises eat fruit when it is available. Galapagos giant tortoise may feed on fallen guava, cactus fruit, grasses, leaves, and other plants. An Aldabra giant tortoise may graze, browse, and eat fruit across island habitats. After eating fruit, the tortoise carries seeds inside its body. Later, when it leaves droppings somewhere else, those seeds may be placed in a new patch of soil, often with natural fertilizer around them. This is seed dispersal. Seed dispersal means moving seeds away from the parent plant. It helps plants spread into new areas and reduces crowding beneath the original plant. A bird can spread seeds quickly through flight. A bat can carry seeds at night. A tortoise spreads them slowly, close to the ground. Across paths it may use again and again. That slowness still matters. On islands, where large plant-eating mammals may be absent, giant tortoises can become especially important seed movers. They are not just eating the landscape, they are helping plant parts of it. Their paths can become lines of future growth. A fruit falls, a tortoise eats. Days later, seeds return to the earth in a different place. The plant story continues through the animal's slow body. Some tortoises also change the world by digging. The gopher tortoise of the southeastern United States is famous for its burrows. A burrow is an underground tunnel or shelter. A gopher tortoise may dig a burrow more than 10 feet long, and some can be much longer. The tunnel slopes down into sandy soil, where the air is cooler and more humid than the surface. For the tortoise, the burrow is shelter from heat, cold, fire, drought, and predators. But the burrow does not serve only one animal. Hundreds of other species have been found using gopher tortoise burrows. Some enter to escape high heat. Some hide from fire. Some rest there during dry periods. Frogs, snakes, insects, small mammals, and other creatures may all use the space created by the tortoise. This makes the gopher tortoise a keystone species. A keystone species is an animal or plant that has an unusually large effect on its ecosystem. If it disappears, many other lives can be affected too. The burrow is like a small underground room, made by one species and shared by many. In hot, dry places, that room can mean survival. So turtles and tortoises are not only ancient survivors, they are workers in the quiet systems around them. A sea turtle trims underwater grass. A tortoise carries seeds through its gut. A gopher tortoise opens shelter beneath the soil. A nesting sea turtle brings nutrients from the ocean onto the beach, because some eggshells and unhatched eggs remain in the sand and feed coastal plants and small animals. Even the traces left behind can matter. Tracks in sand, paths through grass, cropped seagrass, seeds in soil, a tunnel under dry ground. The turtle does not need speed to change the world. It changes the world by returning, feeding, digging, nesting, grazing, and continuing. And that makes the modern pressures around turtles feel heavier. Because when a turtle is lost, the world does not only lose one quiet animal. It may lose a gardener, a grazer, a digger, a seed carrier, and a living link between places that were never separate at all. The turtle has always lived by patience. A body that warms slowly, a shell that grows slowly, a life that may take years before it begins to reproduce. But the modern world often changes quickly. A road can appear across a nesting path in a single season. A bright building can rise beside a dark beach. A fishing net can stretch through water where turtles have traveled for generations. A plastic bag can drift through the sea looking, in the dim motion of water, a little too much like a jellyfish. For an animal built around slow survival, fast change can be difficult to answer. Roads are one of the clearest examples. Many freshwater turtles leave ponds, marshes, and wetlands to nest on land. A female snapping turtle may cross grass, gravel, driveways, or roads while searching for loose soil or sand. She may be decades old. She may have survived winters under ice, summers in warm mud, and years of quiet feeding in the same wetland. But when she reaches a road, her shell and patience do not help much. She cannot run across quickly. She cannot understand traffic. The same slow movement that once worked well in forests and wetlands becomes dangerous in a landscape built for speed. This matters because many turtles mature slowly. A snapping turtle may take well over 10 years to reach breeding age in colder regions. Some species take even longer. A sea turtle may need 20 or 30 years before it returns to nest as an adult. That means every adult female is the result of a very long chain of survival. Egg, hatchling, young turtle, growing turtle, adult. A population cannot replace adults quickly when they are lost. Plastic pollution creates another pressure. A leatherback sea turtle feeds mainly on jellyfish. In open water, a floating plastic bag can resemble soft drifting prey. If swallowed, plastic can block the digestive tract or create a false feeling of fullness. Smaller pieces of plastic can also move through marine food webs. The sea turtle is not choosing trash. It is following old feeding cues in a newer kind of ocean. Fishing gear can be just as serious. Sea turtles may become caught in nets, lines, or hooks. Because they breathe air, being trapped underwater can be deadly if they cannot reach the surface. In some fisheries, special gear called turtle excluder devices can help. These are openings built into certain nets that allow large animals, including sea turtles, to escape while shrimp or fish remain inside. A simple change in design can make the difference between a turtle rising for air and a turtle being held below. On nesting beaches, artificial light changes the ancient pull of the horizon. For millions of years, hatchlings could move toward the brighter open sky above the ocean. Now, beachfront homes, hotels, roads, and parking lots can glow behind them. A hatchling may crawl away from the water toward lamps, windows, or headlights. The body is not broken. The cue has been changed. The same instinct that once guided it safely can be turned in the wrong direction by human light. Warming sand adds a quieter pressure. In many sea turtles, warmer nests tend to produce more females, while cooler nests tend to produce more males. If nesting beaches become hotter over time, some populations may produce uneven sex ratios. Very high nest temperatures can also reduce hatching success. A small increase in heat can reach down through the sand and alter the hidden life of the eggs. Habitat loss also touches turtles in many forms. A wetland drained for development may remove feeding and wintering places. A beach hardened by seawalls may leave less room for nesting. A road through forest can split a box turtle's home range into pieces. A turtle may know the old path, but the old path may no longer exist. This is the difficult contrast. Turtles survived asteroids, shifting continents, changing seas, and ancient climates. But they survived those changes across deep time. Modern changes can happen within one turtle's lifetime. A tortoise that may live for many decades can watch its world change faster than its body can adapt. Still, the story does not end only in pressure. The same careful attention that reveals these problems can also guide repair. A darker beach, a safer road crossing, a protected wetland, a better fishing net, a nesting site left quiet through the season. Small changes can meet ancient lives with care. And after seeing how much turtles carry, the shell begins to feel even more meaningful. Not just armor, not just bone, but a living record of time, still moving forward through a world that now has to choose how gently it will make room. And now the turtle from the beginning feels different. The pet turtle under the warm lamp, the pond turtle resting on a log, the tortoise walking slowly across dry ground, the sea turtle lifting its head above dark water for one quiet breath. At first, each one may have seemed simple, slow, shelled, familiar. But the shell was never just a little house. It was living bone. It was ribs, spine, armor, and history, all shaped into one body. A hermit crab can leave one empty shell and search for another. A turtle cannot. The turtle is joined to its shell for life. The upper shell, called the carapace, is connected to the spine and ribs. The lower shell, called the plastron, protects the belly. And in many turtles, the outside is covered by scutes made of keratin, the same basic material found in fingernails. That one fact changes everything. The shell protects the turtle, but it also shapes how the turtle breathes, moves, warms itself, hides, swims, and survives. Because the ribs are built into the shell, turtles cannot breathe by expanding the rib cage the way humans do. They use special muscles inside the body to move air in and out. A breath that feels simple in us becomes something more hidden inside them. We also learned that turtle is the larger word. All tortoises are turtles, but not all turtles are tortoises. Tortoises are usually land animals, with domed shells and strong walking legs. Pond turtles often have flatter shells and webbed feet. Sea turtles have flippers and smoother bodies shaped for water. Terrapins often belong to the edges, where fresh water and salty water may meet. One ancient body plan became many different lives. It became a tortoise on dry land, a painted turtle on a pond log, a snapping turtle resting in mud, a green sea turtle grazing through seagrass, a leatherback crossing deep ocean water. Turtles also carried us backward into deep time. Turtle-like animals appeared more than 200 million years ago, in a world where the continents were still joined in Pangaea, and early dinosaurs were only beginning to rise. The shell did not appear all at once. Fossils show widened ribs, early belly armor, and partial shell forms before the full turtle shell was complete. Across millions of years, bone slowly became shield. And once that shield existed, turtles carried it through changing worlds. They survived shifting climates, moving continents, rising seas, falling seas, and extinction events that removed many other animals. They were not frozen in time. They changed, but they kept the central idea: a protected body, a slow life, a careful use of energy, a way of surviving by not rushing. That is why the old story of the tortoise and the hare feels so fitting. Slow and steady was not just a fable. It was biology. Warmth was another quiet thread running through the whole story. A pet turtle under a lamp and a pond turtle in the sun are both doing important work. Turtles are ectotherms, which means the outside world helps set their body temperature. Warmth affects movement, digestion, immune health, and activity. And in many turtle nests, temperature can even influence whether hatchlings develop as male or female. A patch of sand can help shape the next generation. From there, we followed the eggs beneath soil and beach sand. We saw tiny hatchlings climb upward from soft, leathery eggs. We saw sea turtle hatchlings move toward the brightest natural horizon, usually the open ocean beneath the night sky. And we saw how artificial lights can confuse that ancient path. The first journey may be only a few meters, but later, some turtles cross thousands of miles. They may use Earth's magnetic field, currents, wave direction, smell, and learn their geography. A turtle that begins as a tiny body in the sand may one day return toward the same coast to nest. And turtles do more than survive. They help the world around them. Green sea turtles graze seagrass beds. Tortoises spread seeds after eating fruit. Gopher tortoises dig burrows that shelter many other animals. Sea turtle nests bring ocean nutrients back to beaches. The turtle is not just living inside nature. It is helping nature continue. That is why the modern pressures matter. Roads, plastic, fishing gear, beach lights, habitat loss, and warming sands can all interrupt lives built over deep time. A turtle may take decades to become an adult. A beach can change in one season. A wetland can disappear in a year. The slow animal now lives in a fast world. And still, the final image is gentle. A turtle moving forward. A shell catching the light. A small head reaching out. A steady body close to the earth. Not carrying a house. Carrying bone. Carrying memory. Carrying ocean, mud, sunlight, sand, and time. A living shell. A quiet breath. An ancient shape still here. Still moving. Still carrying the long story forward.